Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone can see my screen here. Looks like we've got people joining in on the webinar, and that number is increasing, so that's wonderful. Thank you for everyone for joining us today. If you could, please make sure that your microphones are muted throughout the presentation. And if you have any questions, please use the chat function, and I will get to your questions as soon as I'm able to. All right, so today we will be talking about connecting with kindness and how we enhance our personal and professional relationships. But before we begin there, first I'd like to start with introducing myself. My name is Janae Cargill, and I'm the Benefits and Wellness Director at the Washington County's Insurance Fund. And I also would like to remind any of our Sonic Boom participants on the call today that you can earn points for participating in this presentation. And I will show you at the end of our presentation how you do that, how you navigate to earning those points within the health portal. So first, for an overview of what we'll be talking about today. Kindness can be contagious. And just by encouraging others to join in on, they can join in with their own generous deeds just by spreading kindness. So what can kindness do for us? It can increase our sense of connectivity with others. It can decrease our loneliness. It combats our low mood, as well as improves our relationships. And those relationships, they can either be with your people in your life personally or your coworkers, but most importantly, it improves the relationship with your own self. So the definition of being kind. So I'm just kind of read this word for word and just elaborate off of what that definition means. Connecting with kindness is the idea that acts of kindness can help people feel valued and recognized, which can lead to a sense of connection and belonging, helping to reduce feelings of isolation and strengthening our social ties. Kindness can also, so let's elaborate on that definition. It can be selfless, it's caring, it shows compassion, and unconditionally being kind. So this can take many forms, simple forms. It can be a smile, it could be a nice word. How about an unexpected deed? My mind goes back to the chivers. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the chive. This is more of an early 2000 things, but it was all about the act of paying it forward. That's an act of kindness. It's if you're in the line at a coffee shop, you're paying for the person behind you. That's an act of kindness. That's paying it forward. Kindness can also mean putting other people's needs before your own, such as giving up a seat on the bus or offering to make tea for a coworker. Little deeds like this can speak volumes to others. We don't know what each of us are experiencing in our personal life, or maybe even our professional life, or maybe it's just deep rooted within ourselves of this internal struggle. Just simple acts of kindness can add some relief to any struggles that are happening within your life. The great thing about kindness is that it doesn't just benefit you as the giver, it also benefits the receiver. So as you are giving, you're receiving your own benefits as well as giving them to others. So for the giver, kindness can reinforce itself. And this is a biological density fulfilled feeling that can provide this internal reward mechanism. And for the receiver, kindness can make people feel valued and important, which establishes connection. Kindness, it can also benefit the receiver's mental health and well-being by reducing stress, improving your mood, your self-esteem, your overall happiness. For an example, there was a study done in 2019 that found where teens specifically who engaged in kindness uh, and helping others, they had improved moods, and especially those with depressive symptoms. So like I said before, we never know what's going on each other's lives. And so putting yourself in other people's shoes, creating this space for kindness to thrive can be huge for people just outside of how you're feeling alone. Kindness can also be a resource for resilience. When people focus on kindnesses that have been done for them, it can light up these networks in our brain. This can help them through difficult times. And these memories of kindness that are created can be intentionally cultivated and stored and is used as reminders of the connections that sustain life. So first, let's touch on the benefits of kindness in our personal life, and then we'll flip over to the professional side of it. You see this lovely picture of the happy person in the angry person's body. So it's before I begin, it takes a lot of work to pull yourself outside of your head. It can be easy, and I find this interesting how it's easier to be upset or angry or frustrated, but it can, for some of us, it's harder to tap into that kindness mode. But it's the act of practicing, it's the act of creating the habit, and then it becomes easier. You have to put the work in. It does not come easy for everybody. So we'll talk about the first thing that happens, a benefit of kindness in your personal life. As we mentioned before, you experience improved relationships. So being kind to someone, it makes them feel more prone to be kind in return, further strengthening your relationships and building a stronger support system for both parties, for you and them, right? Like we talked about before. But beyond the relationship, your act of kindness, it may inspire them to perform their own acts for others, which continually spreads the love and positive feelings wherever you are. You may have someone you work with, or maybe it's a sibling or a parent or whoever that it doesn't matter how positive you are around them, they're always finding something negative to add to stir into your pot of happy. um, but that rubs off. So let's say all your family, let's say we're just talking about close family, let's say your significant other or your kids, but you've got that one kid who's the sour grape in the bunch. Continuing that act of kindness will rub off, and it's not intentional to make someone feel like they're not included because they're not expressing these acts of kindness, but eventually they'll start to notice, okay, I'm seeing a consistency here and there's no change, and maybe by applying my own acts of kindness to myself and others, maybe I could crawl out of that frustrated, angry person, um, or feeling. So the next benefit of being kindness in your personal life, mental health benefits. This is huge. this is something on the forefront of wellness in our everyday lives, is how we better our mental health, and how do we go about that, and what are the benefits of spreading kindness throughout. So there's a number of ways, and I'll go through those with you. Social connection is one. Kindness can help people feel more connected to others, which can be a key predictor of well-being and recovery from anxiety and depression. Distraction. Kindness can help take your mind off your own problems and symptoms. And I'll just insert myself personally here. For those of you that are new on the call, I tend to do that, and it's a little TMI. So, but as long as we share our personal experience, it better helps us to get to reach our own goals, right? Giving that other perspective. So this is something I've been practicing in my own personal life daily for the past, I'm going to say, like, really hard work into the past couple of years. um, it's kindness can definitely be a distraction from those thoughts of negativity, or maybe you're just being really hard on yourself, or whatever it is. It is truly a distraction, but like I said, it takes a lot of work. And so rather than fueling potential fire within that isn't, it's not a good fire. So there's good fire and a bad fire within us. um, it does distract. And so I do a lot of self-talk, and I tell myself, all right, this isn't on the full scheme of things. This is a small thing that I really shouldn't put a lot of my energy into, because the more energy you put into negativity, it's draining. So draining. Brain chemistry is a benefit to your mental health, to your mental well-being. So kindness can increase those, like we talked about, those levels of oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine. So these can reduce your stress. Um, Increase feelings of well-being is what you'll experience. And again, you activate the pleasure and reward center within your brain. So kindness, it releases those endorphins, your body's natural painkiller. So that's a huge one. So the feeling that you get when you get physical activity, whether that be working in your garden, doing house chores, or if you're going to the gym, or you're an avid bike rider or walker, and once you break that initial sweat and you go through your routine, whatever that may be, you just feel light and energetic and happy and healthy. You can get that same feeling just by being kind. Just by being kind. So think about that. You want that feel good feeling? Just be a kind person. Practice kindness. And then contagiousness again. So you're going to hear these same words pop up: contagious, endorphins, all those great things. Kindness can be contagious, encouraging others to perform their own acts of generosity. You're creating a space for others to be kind and following through with their own generous deeds. Lastly, physical health benefits. So we go back to everything we just talked about, but in a little bit more detail. So acts of kindness can improve your physical health by releasing hormones and chemicals that can help you feel better. So going back to oxytocin, this is known as the love hormone. Oxytocin can lower your blood pressure, it can reduce inflammation in your body, and it can improve your heart health. It can increase those feelings of self-esteem and optimism. That's huge. For example, rather than worrying about something that could or could not happen in the future, optimism is huge. Let's be optimistic that everything's going to be okay. um, that's not necessarily real life, but you can ease your mind. That's helpful. Endorphins, we just talked about those. Again, natural painkillers that can also increase energy. You don't just get that from physical activity. You get that just by purely expressing kindness. Serotonin and dopamine. So these are neurotransmitters that can make you feel satisfied and make you feel well. And again, it can activate the pleasure centers in your brain. And the big one here that sticks out to me the most is cortisol. Kindness can lower cortisol levels by 23% in people who are consistently kind. So now this is specific to females, as a lot of you may know. We tend to hold our stress in our stomachs. So there's our cortisol, right? But we also hold it in our upper mid back and our necks, our lower backs, and our hips. There's a lot of places, and not and that goes for male and female, but females in particular, when it comes to cortisol, it's in our belly area. And so just by acting kind, not acting, I'm sorry, being kind. Let's not act kind, let's be kind, right? Um, that lowers your cortisol level by 23%. That's huge. So why not? There's so many benefits to being kind. Okay, facts and statistics. So this is all just basically everything I went through uh, in short. And the reason I'm repeating myself is because we're going to create this habit, right? So let's begin to cement this in our brains. So facts, mental health. Kindness can reduce stress and anxiety, and it can increase feelings of satisfaction, confidence, and optimism. Okay. And like I mentioned, study found that people who regularly practice kindness, 23% less cortisol, the stress hormone in our bodies. Okay. So mental health, improve mood, combat low mood, help people feel less isolated. All right. Relationships. The fact with relationships, kindness can help people feel more connected to others. You can deepen friendships. You can improve interpersonal relationships. It's contagious, like we said. So encourage others to perform kind acts themselves. And then brain chemistry. When people think about or witness or perform acts of kindness, their brains release those neurotransmitters that I was referring to and other chemicals that can positively impact their mood and their well-being. So, like I mentioned, dopamine, it's feelings of euphoria, and serotonin, which can help regulate your mood. And then that wonderful, uh, what do we call it? The love emotion, or the feel good love chemical, the oxytocin, that can reduce stress. So with our brain chemistry, it positively impacts our mood and our well-being. Release the endorphins. It's the body's natural painkiller. It's a win-win. Okay, so now I'd like to share some practical tips that you could use in your personal life. Number one, oh, I've got a spelling error there. It's not taken, it's taking. Number one, be kind to yourself. Practice gratitude by taking a moment each day to think of something you're grateful for, um, grateful about yourself, like a talent or an accomplishment. So think in terms of a talent. If, let's say, you just started learning guitar, don't be hard on yourself. Be kind to yourself. I find myself, if I'm learning something new and I'm in the process, I will say out loud to myself, and this is a horrible habit, But I will say out loud to myself, ah, Janae, you dummy. Like, why do I do that? That's not helpful at all. I'm just telling myself I'm dumb. So no, be kind to yourself. If you're in the process of learning how to play guitar, it's okay. The more you practice, the more you're going to get better. Be kind, or think about an accomplishment, let's say at work or something. You're up against a really tight deadline, and rather than listening to those racing thoughts of I'm never going to get this done, I don't have time, stop, make the time, and just be easy to yourself as you're going through that. You're going to make that deadline. You're going to survive. It will be fine. You can also show kindness by practicing self care. Start by eating healthier. Choose those rich, dark antioxidant type foods or dark leafy greens, incorporate seeds and nuts if you can. Start making some healthier choices, but start small. If you have these certain habits that you want to break, but these have been habits you've been doing for a while. Let's say you're an ice cream lover, and every night for the past 20 years, you have a bowl of ice cream right before you go to bed. Well, it's not great to eat right before we go to bed, especially sugar. The sugar, it does not help because we're burning energy as we sleep, but it's also difficult for your mind to relax so you can get a sound night's rest. Um, so think about eating healthier. Get outside. It feels so good to be outside. We need nature. Even if you're just stepping out for a 10-15 minute break from work or even at home, go outside, get a little bit of vitamin D, get a little recharge, and go back to what you were doing. And that helps to focus as well. Number two, be kind to others. Perform those small acts of kindness, like helping someone with chores or tasks. Um, you could volunteer your own time. The example in here is charity homeless shelter, but there's other ways to volunteer your time as well. What if you have a friend or family member who's working on a big project, whether it's at their house or property they own, you can be helpful there. And it makes you feel good. You're helping others. Um, you can also stand up for others. Let someone go ahead of you in line or tell someone they look nice. It's easy. It's not difficult to do. And it's genuine. And I feel people tend to trust more when you're just being kind. When greeting others, try to make them feel special. Use their name, smile at them, look them in the eye. This is something I had to work on, believe it or not. If you know me, believe it or not, yes, I had to work on this. I was born with a scrunchy, not so happy looking face. There's a word for that, but we're gonna keep it PG. Um, RBF. So you can Google that. I'm not going to say it. This is a recorded line. But anyways, I always look mad. I'm not mad. It's just my facial expression. So I've worked very hard to look happy when I'm happy. And so, um, but that says a lot, smile. It's great. It's good for your facial muscles too, to exercise those smile lines and look people in the eye, having that eye contact. I see in the chats? We call it resting grump face. Okay, I like that. That's more PG. Thank you. A resting llama face. All right, keep them coming, guys, in the chats. I love seeing this. I love it. Um, but yeah, it's look people in the eye too when you are having these conversations or these kind acts that you're being genuine about, because it tells the person that you're engaged and what you're saying to them is important. Number three, be compassionate. Forgive people for making mistakes. and try to emphasize on their situation, show empathy. You know, we all make mistakes. No one on this call in this world can say they've never made a mistake. So you guys were humans. Um, we're gonna make mistakes. And, you know, going back to putting yourself in other people's shoes, um, they might be harder on themselves. It doesn't help when you're adding on to that stress. And I'm actually one of those people. I beat myself up more than you can imagine because that's just the person I am, and I'm working on that. Um, but it's not necessary. Just recognize we make mistakes, we move on from them. Life is good. Okay. You can also practice mindfulness to help you become more aware of your own feelings and the feelings of others. So that goes back to putting yourself in other people's shoes. That is something that I have found is crucial to the relationships in my life, my personal relationships, my professional relationships. It's so huge to be able to meet someone on their level and show compassion. All right. Benefits of kindness in professional life. Before we get to that, I just want to read a couple of the comments. Um, yeah, yep. I wear my emotions on my face and get in trouble all the time. Yeah, I used to get in trouble all the time, Amber, and then I started putting a smile on my face. You can't learn if you don't make mistakes. Exactly. That is so true. You can't learn if you don't make mistakes. You've got to have mistakes. Another comment, if you would forgive someone else for a mistake, that means you should forgive yourself for it too. Absolutely. Absolutely, Shauna. Forgive yourself. That's huge. All right. Benefits of kindness in professional lives. All right. So there are three major categories where kindness is essential in the workplace. So first is the work environment. The one, the and within the work environment, building morale, recognizing and appreciating your coworkers. This can boost morale and it can make the employees feel more proud of their work. So this goes either way, whether you're an employee or you work in HR. Um, this building morale is huge. It is so huge to the success of your organization. And this can lead to higher job satisfaction and a more engaged workforce. Next is reducing stress. A kind and courteous workplace can be less stressful, and it can also reduce burnout and absenteeism. And what absenteeism is, it's the practice of staying away from work or school without good reason. Okay, so these can be the effects of low job motivation. So if you're absent and you make excuses, you're not going to be as motivated on your job. And I could go back to high school and talk about when I skipped school. I mean, that's definitely absenteeism. No interest, just want to go do what I want to do. So, reducing stress it can avoid that. It can avoid burnout. It can avoid absenteeism. Okay, next, increasing productivity. So when employees feel happy and they feel appreciated, you see more of that creativity come out of them. You see that they're more productive. It makes them feel included. This is what you want. You want to increase productivity. You want a happier workplace. And studies show that happy employees are 13% more productive. So why not? It's a win. Okay, next, improving well-being. Kindness can increase those feelings of connection, trust, and your overall happiness. It can also release the hormone oxytocin, like we mentioned, which again, it reduces blood pressure. That's huge. If you have blood pressure issues, be kind. The mind is amazing. It's so powerful. Next, encouraging learning. When leaders approach performance issues with empathy, with care, those employees or you feel safe learning new things without feeling threatened or judged. You have this confidence. Um, and this can also encourage you learning. This can also increase your employee engagement. And then lastly, increasing retention. This is huge. This is something that we see across, well, really nationwide. It's difficult to retain employees, and kindness is a huge part of that. The culture change that I'm seeing trending globally is huge. Um, so kindness, creating a sense of connection and belongingness between yourself, your coworkers, this can increase those rates. Okay. I'm just looking at you guys crack me up. I'm looking at the comments here. I've been told I don't have a poker face. And then someone else put on here, fail, FAIL, standing for first attempt in learning. I love that. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, next slide. The second major category uh, where kindness is essential in the workplace is team collaboration. Receiving a compliment, words of recognition, and even praise, it can help us to feel more fulfilled. It helps boost our self-esteem. It improves our own self-evaluations. Like I mentioned, I can be super hard on myself. Just being kind to myself, this it's a more my self evaluation is it's more gentle, but it sparks these positive emotions, it ignites these positive emotions. And these positive downstream consequences of compliments, they make intuitive sense. But people are often hesitant to give compliments. Why are we so hesitant to give compliments? Well, we assume people will feel uncomfortable and be bothered by receiving a compliment when actually the opposite is true. You don't have to be afraid to give someone a compliment. Be confident in the compliments that you give. I like that. Be confident in compliments. Anyways, um, but it's true. Giving compliments don't have to be difficult and they can be simple, but they have to be genuine. There's a difference between being kind and acting kind. So the idea of approaching someone and saying something nice, it can actually prompt social anxiety and discomfort. That's how we're feeling, but that's not the case. Um, it actually makes it better. Okay. Um, When people receive an act of kindness, they pay it back, period. We've been talking about that. They pay it forward, like the chivers. If anyone knows about the chivers, cool. I don't even know if that's still a thing. So if you know, let me know. I'm curious. Um, research has found that acts of courtesy, helping, and giving praise were related to core goals of organizations. So, like we said, that's huge. That goes back to retention, right? So, um, be courteous, be helpful, and give praise when it's need to be given. In workplaces where these acts of kindness become the norm, the spillover effects can multiply fast. Like I said, it's contagious. So spread it, spread the kindness. And higher rates of these behaviors, they're predictive of productivity, efficiency, and those lower turnover rates. So just what I said. See, I even speak ahead of my own prompts here. All right, next slide. Um, just a couple more comments before we go to the next slide here. One of our participants, when they first started at their workplace, the culture was so affirming that it kind of freaked them out and thought it was fake and they didn't like it. But now they've gotten used to it and it's actually a real and honest practice in their workplace and it's nice. That is wonderful feedback. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying before. Not to say that you are someone who is a negative person. I'm just saying that consistency of kindness, it spills over and then it becomes the norm. And then you realize it's a great place to work at. So thank you so much for sharing that. We have another participant in the calls, same where they work. It's also positive. That's great feedback. Another comment, I never hesitate to give a compliment or a helping hand. Build you karma bank full of goodness. Yeah, build your karma bank full of goodness. I love that. Karma bank. Yeah. Yeah. Just be kind. Um, you're gonna add to that karma bank. Okay, I'm gonna start using that. All right. Okay, lastly, when leaders and employees act kindly towards each other, they facilitate a culture of collaboration and innovation. So, like I was mentioning before, the creativeness will come out of the people you work with. You'll see that. You'll see that productivity increase. Um, and that's all just simply being kind. Okay, leadership. Let's talk specifically a little bit about leadership here, and I want to provide you some tips there as well. So the first one is so actually what I want to say first is kindness from leaders. It can create this ripple effect throughout the organization you work within. It fosters an environment where mistakes are seen as opportunities, like we've been talking about here before and in the chat. Uh, but it's seen as opportunities for learning rather than occasions of punishment. Because you want to uplift your coworkers or the team that maybe you are personally responsible for leading. You don't want to make them feel bad about the mistakes. Do you want them to correct them and move on? Absolutely. But don't add on that extra layer of stress because more times than not, they probably have already stressed themselves enough as is. So adding on that extra layer, it's not helpful. Um, so the openness that encourages innovation as employees feel safe to propose new ideas and take calculated risk. And that is huge too. I found that when I'm working with my coworkers, um, it took me a while to get some. This is saying, okay, 17 years ago. This is a long time ago, but even still, throughout my life, I call them lifetimes here because you change personally as a person a lot. Anyways, it can be hard to feel that safeness sometimes when you're making collaborative efforts, and so just purely by people working together positively being kind to each other, you do increase that confidence to share those ideas. And those ideas or those risk-taking type, well, ideas, you do get that confidence to speak those because you feel like you have a safe space to do so. Just being kind can create that. Um, okay, so listen actively. This is the first one. This is the first tip I'm going to give you. Listening is so crucial to any relationship. Um, when you listen actively, you show genuine interest in your team's ideas, their concerns, and feedback, as well as active listening demonstrates that you value um, your teammates' contributions, and it fosters a culture of open communication. And communication is so huge, you guys. Without communication, you are not successful. You, it's really important to, and also as you're communicating, you're expressing kindness while you're communicating, right? Um, it's this open communication is so huge, but you have to, again, you have to create a safe space. You're not going to get that open communication from the people that you collaborate with unless you create the space to do so. So being kind can lend to that. Another tip is provide constructive feedback. And it can also be helpful if when you are having these conversations of constructive feedback that you actually say it. Preface the conversation with that it is is considered constructive feedback because not everyone takes feedback in a constructive manner. People can tend to take that personally and add a layer of kindness to that to help with to get that message across. Um, and feedback should be aimed at helping employees grow. It's all about growth. We don't want to put employees down. We want them to grow because they're going to be better, happier employees. Deliver this feedback with empathy. Focus on actions and behaviors rather than personal attributes. Personal attributes. That's a key word. Number three, recognize and appreciate efforts of your team. A regular acknowledgement of your team's hard work and achievements can boost morale and motivation. It's a simple, yet it's a powerful way to show kindness. And lastly, offer support and flexibility. These are both huge. Support in anything, you know, speaking primarily with the workforce, whether it's support that you're offering that's work related, or even if it's not work related, because you want to take care of your team, of your coworkers. Again, understand that employees have lives outside of work and they're working to support the lives that they have. And so it is not easy to keep some of those life situations at bay when you walk through the door, or if you're out in the field at work, or whatever you do in your job. Um, we are there to work to fuel the lives we have outside. So keep that in mind. Also offering support and flexibility when your coworkers face personal challenges, it is a profound act of kindness. It's huge. Okay, so before we go to the next slide, I'm going to check in on these chats here. One chatter, I will make people start over when they start talking to me while I'm in the middle of a task and tell them I was not actively listening to them and I want to. That's great, Amber, because this happens with us too. And we could be on our own tracks, right? So I'm usually on a mission. Once I leave my office, I'm on a mission, and I can go right into someone's office and say, "Hey, blah 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 blah," and just throw a bunch of things out there. But I need to take into consideration that, hey, my coworker's working on something right now. Maybe just politely insert yourself. But even just having on the other end, Amber, where you're telling them, "Hey, I'm sorry, I'm right in the middle of something. Let me just finish this really quick and then tell me what you need from me, or tell me what you want to talk about, or and so on." So thanks for sharing that, Amber. Okay, so now some practical tips for professionals in practicing kindness. Number one, practice self-care. How can you be kind to others when you're not kind to yourself? You have to start there. Practice on yourself. Be kind to yourself. When your well being suffers, so does your performance at work. That's the other big thing. You can't be kind to others and your work can suffer. So be kind to yourself. And the best way to be a valuable, thoughtful team member is to be disciplined about your own well being. So that goes right back to what we talked about. It's your physical, it affects your physical, your emotional, your mental well being. Um, Second, do your job. Do your job. Show up on time. Do your job to the best of your ability. Try not to get so caught up in other things that are happening around you that don't involve you. Um, and be kind about it and just continue on your own path of yourself and what you're currently involved in. And what happens if you routinely arrive late, or let's say you fail to complete tasks that are integral to your position? Typically, others will have to take on the work that you failed to complete, but this can also lead to your own anxiety and stress, or feeling frustrated for other people. Um, it's also important to find ways to hold yourself accountable. That's huge too. Have accountability. Try setting micro goals. Like I said earlier, baby steps, take baby steps. Don't go big. Start small, because that's when the habit sticks. That's when you cement the habit. So try setting these micro goals for yourself daily to make progress towards larger goals that you may have. Okay, so when you're practicing self-care and you're doing your job, you can't do your best work without taking care of yourself first. Okay, so that goes back to practicing self-care. All right, and that all falls into doing your job. Okay, number three, reach out with intention. Make plans to meet virtually, or even better, in person. In person. It's connection with people is so huge. We as human beings, whether you're introvert or not, we still need to feel connected. So make those plans with your colleagues. Take interest in their lives. Ask about their pets, maybe a recent move that they have, or their family. If you are working with someone, let's say for 10 years, and you still don't know if they have a pet or a child, well, maybe it's time to know. But I've worked with people like that before. Some people just want to come to work, do their job, they're done. Okay, you have nothing to do with this, da 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 da. But guess what, guys? We spend most of our time with our coworkers than we do our family members. So why not make it happy, enjoyable? Why not? It's just going to make your life outside of work even better. Um, and then, so showing someone that you genuinely care about them and what they have to say is really an impactful display of kindness. It can speak volumes. It does to me. I'm a simple person, but if just by a simple good morning, have a nice day, that's huge for me. So it doesn't take a lot to be kind. Okay, we've got another chat here. Terry, we have a bulletin board just to post pet pictures. I love that. I love seeing people's pets. I don't own cats, but I love seeing pictures of people's cats, especially if they're just doing weird things or videos. I don't know. I don't know. I'm a weirdo. I just outed myself. I like watching cat videos. Anyways, that's not weird. Okay, next. Thanks for sharing that, Terry. But that's not a bad idea. You can even use that idea, post a bulletin board for whatever kind of pictures, obviously office appropriate, but that could be a fun activity. And then that's conversation, that prompts conversation, right? So you might have a coworker who has, maybe you have the same animal as them, or maybe you recently vacationed at the same place. You never know what you could have in common with your coworkers. Okay. All right, number 4, recognize and acknowledge people. So authentic, thoughtful interactions show that you're thinking about that person and reflecting on their unique attributes and value, which can cement those social connections. So when someone they start to feel this value, right? So when you are thoughtfully interacting with your coworkers, that speaks volumes as well. And the result in a positive and uplifting environment, it enables a culture of kindness that thrives. Number 5, be conscientious with your feedback. So when you know your teammates more deeply, you can also better understand how to offer them honest and constructive feedback. Not everyone handles constructive feedback the same. Some people take it personally, some people do use it constructively, which is what it's meant to be. It's to help you grow, right? It's to help you learn from your mistakes. Being kind means offering feedback for the betterment of the person receiving it and the overall success of your organization. You're seeking to build someone up. We want to build each other up. Why would we want to not build each other up? What benefit does it give you to not build up your coworker? That in turn, that is something where reflection needs to happen. But um, just by being kind, you're building that person up, whether you realize it or not. And the more you do it, it goes back to that confidence, the more confidence your coworkers are going to be when you're working collaboratively. Okay. All right. You guys, this is the end. Oh, it's not the end. I'm sorry. I was just joking. Okay, the key takeaway here. All right, so the bottom line, creating a culture that fosters kindness allows individuals to not only produce innovative ideas, but also feel secure enough to express and share them. Okay, so this is your key takeaway. And this doesn't only go towards your your professional relationships. It goes towards your personal ones too. If you create this culture that fosters kindness within your home, you're going to have kind, positive, confident kids. And your spouse, the same thing. You're going to work better together. Um, and then the flip side, take that into work. You're going to collaborate better together. Um, and then I just want to read the chats really quick. And then really quick, I'm going to show you, if you're a Sonic Boomer, how you can earn points for being a part of this webinar today. Let's see. I see more stuff about cats. I see cat videos, exclamation mark. Yeah, we're cat video lovers. Yay, thank you. Thanks for not making me feel alone. Let's see, Shauna, there's going to be a full poster of pictures of my cats up in the office soon. Thanks for the idea. So my coworker, Shauna, great, let's see the cats. And then another comment, I made a list of my coworkers' favorite foods and colors. So I have a reference for the occasional little gifty. Oh my gosh, I love that. That's wonderful. That's perfect. We have something similar that my coworker Diana did to for all of us. Like if we have a birthday or something else happening, we know a little bit about each other. So that's really great. And then someone else, love this. Great. I'm glad you loved the presentation. Thank you everyone for joining on the call today. So this is a recorded webinar. So once it's released out to you guys, feel free to share it with whoever. It's for your use, whether you want to, maybe you want to share it with your coworkers, or maybe it's just a reminder for yourself. And then, as I said, I was going to, thank you. Here's my contact information if you need it. Again, this presentation will be made available. And then, okay, let me stop sharing this. Oh, not sharing entire, hold on just one sec, you guys. Let me go back to the share here. Okay. Whoops. So real click. I can't even talk, you guys. Real quick. So Sonic Boom. If we have Sonic Boom participants on the call, here's how you earn points. So once you log in to your portal, here's the home page. Click on rewards. And then you're going to go down to our current engagement campaign, connect with yourselves and others. And then just scroll down to activity number 9. And you're basically just going to attest that, hey, I completed the webinar today. Submit, you earn a point. Okay, do you want to confirm completion? Yes. And then soon I should see instant credit for that on the left-hand side here. Sometimes there it is. Yep. Connect with yourselves and others. I just completed the activity today. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being on the call today. And I'll get back to you soon with the recording and the slide deck for your own use. All right, guys, have a great rest of your week and a wonderful weekend.